If you're coming in for the first time, my name is Otieno Paul Peter. I am a business person. I have been in business for a number of years. Actually, the first business I did was when I was in class 6. Class 6, my problem was simple. I just wanted to have some pocket money to also share in buying the things that children like to buying in school. And I kept wondering where people get money. I remember going to ask a friend of mine because he used to buy things almost every day during break time. I didn't used to take breakfast. And so I thought I was even more deserving to buy stuff, but I didn't have the money. So I asked, where do you get money? And then he told me that my debtors pay me back. And that was not exciting enough for me because I was wondering, somebody of that age, where are these debtors from? Where does he get debtors from? And where does he get the money to give to them? And that disturbed me for a while. And then during that particular year, they introduced us to business education in school. And I started thinking about business and how to get started. And so I did my first business. It was about selling bananas, buying the raw bananas in bulk, bunches, and then we ripen them, then we sell them. I partnered with my mom to do this because I wasn't able to run it all the times because of my schooling. And please, you'll try to mute. Yeah, somebody was. So for that reason, I loved business from that moment, and I've always been in one business or the other at different times. And part of what people keep pondering is how people choose business, how they get started, and things like that. So even when I came to Nairobi, I was choosing to come to Nairobi, to the University of Nairobi, not really to be in college, but to set up a base in Nairobi so that I'm able to run my own businesses. I wasn't anticipating being in employment. For whichever reason, I had experienced what it meant to be waiting for money, more so little money at the end of the month, because my dad was a school teacher. And that was my inspiration. So today, we are going to discuss, and I'm going to share some of the ideas that I've been able to gather over time through experience and through studying from other people and studying from different books from business people. I didn't do a BCom degree in school, in college. I chose science line, and I'm happy I did. So just to get started, I will ask that again we share what our expectations would be, or some of the questions that you may want to be addressed during this particular meeting, if you have some that perhaps I will be able to check if they are not in my list. But I'm listening to your questions, so, or your areas you may want to be addressed. So I'll be putting them down. Kindly just unmute and share something briefly, just what you may want to be tackled in case there are those ones that you have. I know we are also on YouTube, so we will also check the questions that are on YouTube can be noted down there, and then we'll be able to put them in. Otherwise, those on Zoom, you can you can type them on the chat. But at this moment, there is an opportunity to just share a thought or what you would want to be captured. Yes, going one. Somebody. waiting to hear. Okay, that question I'll answer at the end. Yes, Diana.
Hi, Paul.
Hi, Nkrote.
How are you?
Good, how are you doing?
I'm well. So my question is,
Yeah.
when you're deciding to start a business, should you follow what your passion is, or should you follow where money is?
Okay, good question. Is it money or passion? Good. Thank you very much, Mercy. Another one? Any other? Seems like there is no any other. So we can move on. We can move on, and let me just now share part of what is in the list of today's discussion. As I said, I am a business person. I've been in business long enough, and part of my business is usually related to ICT. One of my businesses is Live Your Dream. It's a company I formed in 2015. And then ICT Gurus EA Limited, I registered in 2009. So it's been there longer, but we'll discuss perhaps a little bit. I'm also an author. I've done 2 books. One is generally helping people to live their dreams. It's called Live Your Dream in 7 Ds. And this one I did in 2017. I only have 4 copies of this. At the moment, they are finished. Then I have a few copies of this, about 10 of them or something like that. They are usually printed in UK. This is The Making of a Symphony Orchestra, Timeless Leadership. It's a relatively voluminous book, over 200 pages. And then I conduct trainings and speaking. I'm an entrepreneur. My best is analyzing situations and posting solutions. So today, part of what we are going to discuss include, are there enough business opportunities there? How do I get a business idea? I have a couple of ideas. How do I know which one is suitable for me? How do I get started? Yeah, having identified an idea, what's the next logical step? And maybe I'm just starting, or I've started, or I just want to start. How do I ensure that I'm growing? And that's it. So we are getting started on this note, and I'd like to say that there are various levels of operating or participating in the business industry. And we have to always choose at what level do we want to operate. For example, what do we see in this picture? Someone to tell me what we see in the picture. Yes, Catherine, what can you see? What do you make out of the picture?
I see a teapot and cup, so
The cups.
consumption level.
Yeah, you can see cups. Probably we can assume that there is something to be taken. There is something like coffee or tea.
Yeah.
And what else? You know, people are usually can be caged to a particular direction only. I
There is
think there
the
is more
box
than
that
just
the
a cup.
teapot is on.
Yeah,
The
there
teapot is
some,
on top of a box.
there is a teapot. It's placed on top of something, and then
Nothing else. They're all on a table.
Good, thank you. So we have lots of things. We even have a table there. We have the utensils. We have some tea. We have all sorts of things. And these ones are being consumed. There are people who buy them at that level. So basically, this one just shows some of the levels. And I remember when I was in Form 1, we were, I think, end of Form 2, we were making decisions on whether to take business education, that is commerce economics or accounting. During our time, there were those three. And then also taking agriculture. And I chose to do with the business side, the commerce. And our reasoning, or my reasoning then was, I want to operate at another level of determining the prices, not at the primary level. So there are primary levels, that is where you do the production. Perhaps you're a farmer, you're producing ngano in Narok, and then you sell. That is part of what we call agribusiness. Or you are doing tea or sugarcane, whatever, or you are mining or you're fishing. And that is part of a level you can operate on. It's the basic level. At this level, I've also operated by producing a book. I also have a product, which is at primary level. Somebody at the bookshop is doing something else. Then we have secondary level. This is where we do the manufacturing. The tea that probably is in this pot was grown by certain farmers, and that means at this primary level. And then we had people processing and packaging it, and that is secondary level. And then after that, you know, we don't buy it from the people who package it. We buy it from the supermarket, from the shop nearby. So there are people who operate at that particular level, which is called tertiary level. The table that we see is bought ready. Sometimes the producer could be the one selling it, and that is called direct selling. Yeah, the producer sells directly to the consumer. But most times you go to a supermarket, you'll still get it. You go along certain roads, you find people who are trading on such furniture. They don't make them, but they know people who make them. And even these utensils, we don't buy them from people who make them, we buy them from certain traders. So the question is, at what level do you want to operate and what informs that decision? When I was doing MSc in the University of Nairobi, I was introduced to another thing, that there is the industrial level, or the industrial age business, where you're involved in day-to-day production and manufacturing and all that stuff. Then there is the information-based or information age business, where people trade on information. Present-day people usually like this information level, because we say the world is flat. We want to share things, we want to sell things, not necessarily because we put them in our warehouses or go down, but because we have access to them. I mostly operate at this information level. That's where consultancy is, that's where training is, that's where ICT is, that's where lots of information base is based. Including insurance. Insurance, you don't carry any product. They just sell you some information, whatever, some hope. Yes. So we must always make a choice of at what level we want to operate. That's why today we have online writing. Somebody has a piece of work in UK or in US, and somebody is doing it in, let's say, Githurai. Yeah, it doesn't need to know the guy, but that's the way it works. So we've got to make such choices. I'm never at the secondary level personally. The only time I operated at primary level was when I did, when writing the book, and long time ago when I did a bit of farming and when I ripened bananas and things like that. But today I'm mostly at that tertiary level, information level. So who is a business person? I'd like somebody to share. How do we define a business person? Yes. Maybe we can hear from somebody like Mukami. Who is a business person? Or Roland? Somebody to share. Yes, is anyone willing to share their thought about who a business person is? How do you define a business person, or are you a business person? How do you know?
I'll attempt.
Yes.
Someone who exchanges services or goods for cash.
Good, good, good. Someone who exchanges services or goods, that's what we call commodities. They exchange commodities for profit, for cash. That's great. So basically, a business person solves problems for profits. So if you have some problems you can solve and somebody would gladly pay for it, then you can be a business person. And all of us have problems we are solving. That's why if you are working somewhere, you are solving a particular problem. If you are selling something, you're trying to solve a particular problem. So business comes out of problems that people solve. For example, if you look at these photos, on one side we have the lawnmower, yeah? So if you help people to cut grass using this and they pay you, you could be a business person. And if you can help enough people, now remember that statement, you can write it down if you wish. If you help enough people get what they want, you will get everything you want. That is a statement from a speaker called Zig Ziglar. It cannot be any truer. That is a perfect statement. Meaning if you want more, you help more people. If you want less, you help less people. Jesus said, service to others leads to greatness. If you want to be great, you serve others. So you must solve people's problems. You cut grass in just one home or one compound, you only get a commensurate result. And that is why it said, if you sow sparingly, you reap sparingly. On the other side, we have another one. You see, even this one was solving a problem. There are lots of things here. There is this tissue holder, there is the tissue paper itself, and all sorts of things. People solve problems. If you look at somebody comes with the toothpick, that is solving a problem. Yeah. You look at somebody coming up with shoe polish, somebody coming up with diaper, somebody coming up with vehicles, somebody, all sorts of things are solving problems. And this person who is interested in solving problems en masse, that person is a business person. So you can be, and you should be, and you are one, I dare say. So the word is problem, 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 more problems. The more problems are in the world, the more opportunities are there for business. So do we still have some problems today? Any problems in the society? Do we have some of them? Yes? Problems today? Yes or no? Teresa. Somebody to share. Do we have problems today? Or problems are finished? We do, yeah? Okay, okay, okay. People say, so like which problems are there today? If somebody can tell us some of the problems we are experiencing in the society today. Someone is not.
Food shortages.
Food shortage, yes. Yes, we have food shortage. Poor garbage collection. Water shortage. Yeah, we have lots of problems, right? Many of them. We have many of them. Yeah, today people are talking about COVID, which has brought in a lot of other problems that people are trying to address, to struggle with. You see, so basically there are problems everywhere. There are problems in the society, and the beauty is if we can come up with solution for any particular problem, then we can be paid for it. People will gladly pay. And that is the way life is. For people who hate problems, now you know. You look at yourself, find out which problems are you able to solve. Now, this is one thing that is worth note. Problem is equal to the mission, the reason for the existence of your business. You know, many organizations write mission statements which they don't even remember. Nobody remembers. And sometimes the mission is very different from what they are doing. You see? So it's important to know that your problem, the problem that you are solving, is equal to the mission that you are accomplishing as an organization or as a business person. So if you already have a problem you're solving, that is your mission. This is the way a business organization is structured. In architectural design, we consider, or it is considered, that triangles are the strongest of the structures in existence. So for a strong business, it is based on mission. And this mission is the problem we go out to solve. Bill Gates and his Microsoft went out to solve the problem of information on the desk. Every desktop to have every desk, or on top of every desk, there should be a computer, the PC, the personal computers. And they went ahead to do lots of it. Every organization goes out to solve certain problems. Yes. And if you see a business somewhere, you are able to, or you should be able to identify why people need them. And if you are forming a particular business, you need to know, why will people need that business? What problem are you going to solve? Therefore, what is your mission in that? The moment you get that right, then you are just going to offer leadership. When you are starting, you are the leader. But over time, you can multiply yourself so that you have a number of leaders you can rely on. And that means you're starting to build a team. Those are the three sides that make a business strong. We have a strong mission, a strong leadership, and a strong team. Even if you are going to invest in any business out there, you always need to check this first before you check which product they deal in. Strong leadership, strong mission, and the team. So you as the entrepreneur, you as the business person, this is your work, to set up this structure. And that is where you begin. So how do you choose, or which one do you choose? You have several ideas or things coming to your mind. And this is where that question for Mercy comes in. Is it money? And most times, you know, most of us Kenyans, we get business presentations from people. Somebody comes and tells you, oh, I know somebody who has 1,000 chicken at home. And every day he picks 1,000 eggs. An egg is 10 shillings. You can imagine this person gets 10,000 shillings every day. It's nothing like that until you talk to that person collecting the eggs. You need to know a lot of things, and not everyone will be able to do the same thing. You see, that's the way it works. So before you choose, how do you choose? And number one is passion. Now you know it, Mercy. It's not the money, yeah, that now people are importing masks from China, and it seems to be having a lot of money. You import them at less than 10 bob each, you sell them at 200 or 300 or whatever it is. It's big money. It doesn't work like that. You need to first find out, is that where your heart is? John Maxwell once said that, never work a day. How do you escape that? By doing, engaging in a labor of love, as somebody else put it, a labor of love. You must find your soft spot, something that you are really passionate about. and that will give you a lot of fulfillment. Why? You will not just be paid for doing it, but you'll be on spot. When I started studying this concept, I used to, that was when I finished class 8. I loved watching movies, but before they put every movie, we would go to places where people watch movie. Before they put movie, they put music, and I loved music too. So you see people dancing, and I was always focusing on the people who are the band, the people who are playing the music itself. I used to see them enjoy, and I wondered that even this is work. Yani, as they are working, they are having fun. Take, for example, footballers. They are having fun playing football, but they are still paid for it. It's never like work. So if you get something that you love, that is a great business. Why? Because a business can take too long to start paying you, depending on what nature of business it is. Too long to start giving you that monetary motivation. But because you chose something you love, you will continue doing it. And that's why sports people will practice for long and do lots of games before they get somebody who is really interested in them. This is the way it works in business. It's good and always preferable to choose that which you love. And most times you realize that you love a number of things. That's good enough. I sometimes joke with people who like cracking jokes, and you ask them, what are you good at? They say, like, maybe just telling stories. But that is also business. Some other people are making money just telling stories, or hosting shows like those comedy shows and things like that. Every skill, everything that is in your heart can be used to become profitable. Just take it from me. The other thing is, check your competitive advantage. Somebody called Jack Welch, former CEO of General Electric, said, if you can't be number one or number two or number three, then you are out of the game. And this can only work if you are on where you have a competitive advantage. Long time, I used to watch people speak. I loved speaking, but I had not practiced it even when I was in primary. But I loved watching people give speeches. And the people whom I loved watching the most were school teachers. Because politicians would give speech, but they are reading it. The speech is very nice if you read it for yourself. It gives you excitement. You can feel the person. But when they stand to read it, it becomes a problem. It's just distasteful. But I kept feeling like I can do that better. I always got that attraction towards that. Every time I would listen to pastors speaking, and I feel like I perhaps can do better. So that speaking and teaching was in me. And so wherever I start to teach, when I registered this organization in 2015, and that I registered to become a formality, because before then I had started teaching. I was always sitting with people and talking about what is your purpose, what do you want to accomplish with your life, how do you go about this. So I already had a competitive advantage. When I had people speak, I already had that. So I've learned that if you don't have a competitive advantage, you will have some problems. For example, talent. You are talented. You can be passionate about athletics, but you're not talented. You can't run. Or maybe you feel like there is money in boxing. There are no champions, but you can't be a boxer. I don't think I can play boxing personally. I'm very lightweight, you see. So you must think of all these. Maybe you see Eliud Kipchoge won some awards and you feel like perhaps if I work hard, I could be like him. There are areas you always also need to check. Do I have what it takes? Do I have the talent? Do I have the skill? For example, in my IT, I started being in IT world from the time I was in second year. I was helping people to fix their computer related problems and doing businesses related to IT. And when I finished, I went to teach technical things in IT, teaching people about computing and things like that. After that, I went to work with an ISP and always fixing people's problems with internet, problems with emails, problems with all that. And I I gained that skill, and even when I was registering my organization in 2009, I wanted to practice that same thing. I was good with customers, but I only did not have enough time for it. So skill is an important thing. Consider, if it's something you really love, you will be able to upskill very fast. And even when you start studying it, you can study it much longer. That's why passion comes in there. So check, do you have that competitive advantage? This enables even me today, when I start supporting people and giving them the technical input, they are better, their problems are solved better. The other thing is resources. Take, for example, you feel like Safaricom and Airtel and Orange and all those other people are not doing better. So you want to start another one to compete them. Maybe license fee to get that frequency will be like 1 billion shillings. Do you have that? So you need to check also, maybe you want to do some manufacturing. You need a piece of land, you need some go down. You need a number of people to help you in this and things like that. So you also need to evaluate the resources that you have and see how you can get on with them. So those are competitive advantages, including where your supplies will come from, where you will take them, things like that. One of the things I consider most is how long can this business last? I've seen people rush to business just because it's in fashion. You cannot do a fashionable business if you are thinking long term, unless you're going to change. You are on what they call fast moving products, maybe, I don't know, something like that. But every time I'm considering a business, I want to see, will it be relevant 2 years from now? Will it be relevant 10 years from now? Will it be relevant even as technology keeps changing? I've seen people start developing apps, which is a good thing. But sometimes if you check their rate of development and the rate at which they do it in India, you realize that those people will do it much faster and much cheaper. Then they have no competitive advantage and it becomes a problem, and maybe your product will become a cake. Somebody comes up with a better one. You see, I've seen, for example, when people were coming up with Simu ya Jamii, some of you remember, those phones that people would go to the streets and use them to make calls. I realized this is not a very wise business to start, because you are investing heavily onto these booths, but then what happens along the way is everyone is going to have some handset. You could also see, and I usually talk about things like cyber. Along the way, fewer and fewer people use cyber, except perhaps in the villages. So you must check, as time goes by, is this thing going to be sustainable? Somebody feels like now with Corona, we need to bring in masks. You bring one container, and then a short while later, maybe WHO says, latest research finding concludes that masks are not necessary. Or maybe they come up with something like vaccine. And so you must not build your business in a way that is precarious. Yeah. There is also something to do with just timing, the trends. You check the trends. Yeah. So those are some of the things that are very necessary when you are making a decision on what business do you want to get started in. And furthermore, you need to consider the cost. Cost, most people think about just the money you want to put in, but the hours. I said that I registered my company, ICT Gurus, here in 2009, but I didn't operate it that year and a few years later because I was still employed full-time. I only left employment in 2010 October. And even then, I didn't have the capacity to run it the way I wanted. And so I had to start with other businesses as I build that platform. And today it's full-fledged. So the cost is man hour, the number of the facilities you need to put in. You need some money for initial products. If it's something tangible, all sorts of things. You want to consider that, because you are better off starting with something lighter and grow than invest heavily and then it takes longer. The reason this organization that partnered with Kenya Telecom is, I think, Orange. The reason they left is they took too long to recover the cost that they had put in, the French company. So scalability is another interesting thing. How is your business able to grow? Can it grow? Can it expand? Zoom was there before, but with COVID, their demand just went up steeply, but they have been able to cope. The challenges that came in, they've been able to fix them very fast, and they continue to do a good job. Scalability, if you're designing a business, you must think in terms of, is it able to grow? A business is like a human being. It should be able to have life, and its spirit is the mission. And usually when it's starting, I love advising that that mission should be something that is very much in line with your personal mission. Like my personal mission is to equip people and to inspire them to live their dreams. And that's what I do every day. So, and keeping and supporting and inspiring is all that my organizations do. So scalability is an important thing. Is your business able to grow and become bigger, and sometimes even outgrow you? You need to consider all that. The other thing is market. Who is your ideal client, and do they know they need that product? If they don't know, do you have a strategy to uncover the need? We call it uncovering the need, helping people to understand what they need and then showing them where to get it and how to get it. Now, in the market, you also need to consider the size of the market. Yes, is that market sufficient to cover your costs as you move along? Is it expandable as well? Can that market grow? And is that market able to withstand time, test of time and things like that? How will you reach them? Things like that. Then profitability. Profitability is an important aspect. You might realize that the business becomes not viable because whatever you put in and what you expect out can be a big trouble. For example, when betting companies came in and they started getting big money, everyone was coming up with software for betting. And I know of a number of companies, including some of my relatives, who tried to work with organizations building the same software, but they lost because the money that they were putting in for developers, the money that they were putting in for licenses, the monies that they were putting in for all sorts of things became impractical and they had to quit. So you must check profitability. You should be able to see it in your mind, as we'll see later. The other one is legality. If you operate a business that is not legally instituted and it's outlawed, or it can be outlawed anyhow, then you are likely to lose. Yeah. So you need to consider the legality aspect of your business or the venture that you intend to take up. Besides that, these are some of the activities I recommend that people need to carry out before they venture into a business. And as you can see, we had discussed this particular structure, but we are coming back to it. Research. Researching here means if I wanted to rear chicken, then I need to go and talk to somebody who is doing that and see practically how things work, a typical day in his place or her place. What does it cost? What personnel? All those details. What is the profit margin and things like that? What challenges are they facing? You can talk to a number of them so that you are able to weigh the information. You need to read about it, look for information, look for some books. You can read about it so that you are well aware. Don't be caught by surprises. Usually there are, and every business person will get them. And then and this is where, if you wanted to, for example, operate in ICT industry, you may want to be in one as an employee or as an attaché. You attached somewhere, an intern, or you want to be in hospitality business or something like a restaurant. You can be hired somewhere. You are there to learn the operations. There is nothing compared to that. No MBA will be compared to that. Being there literally just to learn, even if it is for 6 months. Visualize. I love saying this. If you can't visualize the way the process will run from the beginning to the end, because there are many processes in a business, then it's not likely to run for you very well. So be able to visualize your business, the way operations run. If it is a processing business, how will the suppliers bring in the raw material? Where will it be dropped? How will it be picked, taken to whatever? Visualize. Just like when we started with that kettle with the tea inside, you can visualize where there was some farmer cultivating, then it's plucked, then it's processed, then it's brought there, all sorts of things. It's good to visualize. Then test. I love this very much. Always I test if people can buy my product. And my proof usually is, if one person can buy it, then any other person can buy it. The idea is now just about numbers. So if one person is willing to pay for it, then people will be willing to pay. And for people who keep asking where capital comes from, this is usually one of the ways to get capital. If you've bought your product, building from what we discussed last time about selling, if you've bought this product, you love it very well, and you can pass that enthusiasm, and somebody is willing to pay, then you know you have a sellable product. It's good to put these ideas down, because you might forget even how you started, which product, who is your ideal market, all these things. Just note them down. It's very important. And you may realize that you need a team. For example, you cannot, there are certain businesses, you cannot run it alone. It's not like cutting Sukuma Wiki. Sometimes a team is not necessarily somebody you pay monthly or regularly, but on commission based. I've seen even people who are developing certain applications. A company will hire coders, that is people who do programming and coding. They put them down and agree with them on certain terms. Whenever a job comes in, they just send to them. People who are doing, for example, people who are doing branding business, you realize that they have these people who do the printing of the t-shirts, printing of what, where they buy materials, and this is part of their team. When I get an order, I call so-and-so to set for me this number of items. I call so-and-so, I drive to this place, I go do the following, and something like that. So have this in mind. And then now coming back to the structure in here, you already have this external environment taken care of. You consider the cash flow. Money, ultimately, that is coming in should be larger than that which is going out. Money is like blood in an organization. If money coming in is less than that which is going out, then it will soon die. It will run dry. That is why many organizations are likely to dry up during these trying moments in the world, because more money is going out, and now they need to cut certain costs. Problem is, most times employees are the casualties, but that is not necessarily the best way to cut costs. Yeah, people can cut costs in different other ways. So cash flow, and this entails also having books of account, income statement, expenditure statement, things like cash book, things like balance sheet, and things like that. Communication, take care of communication. How will you communicate to people, to your team, to outside world, to your market? How will you reach them? How will they reach you? And things like that. Communication is an integral system. By the way, these things, the way I list them, coming from bottom up, is according to how important they are. So you start with considering the bottom line, meaning you this is where you even establish the costs for your services or products. Then communication, how will that take place? You take care of the system. Systems are there and you develop them because they are things that can be operated for long, and even when you are not there, and they're duplicable. You can teach somebody how to operate a system. For example, how do we receive payments? You receive, maybe you have to ask for payment, we'll write an invoice, it goes to this person, and then we give them this timeline. They will be paying using maybe the M-Pesa pay bill, or they'll be paying using card, or they'll be paying using EFT, and we will acknowledge receipt this way, or we will hire people like this. This is the way. If you want to cut down on this, this is our procedure. Generally, you are coming up with procedures, and it's very important. These are things you build as you move on. Legality, you must register a business. If you don't register it, it's as good as not yours. I've seen people just operating as just ordinary traders, and that means they are not in business. They are just but some traders. You need a business name, whether it's just your name, because you and your business are two different entities, and the moment it's a legal entity, it can outlive you. Yeah, more so if it's a company, a limited liability company. So you need to register it. If there are certain trademarks, you need them, because otherwise, if they are including patents, you need them. Otherwise, your product will not be unique enough, and that's where we are going. Is this your product duplicable, or it's not duplicable? And what will prevent some other people from duplicating it? You heard of that, those two young people who are given orders for hospital beds. Whether they have the capacity, whether their product is not going to be duplicated, so that we have 5,000 people just making hospital beds of the same kind, if not better, nobody knows. So those are some of the things you need to take care of. And if you notice, product comes in list, because many people think if I have the best product, I have a big business. Having product is one thing. Having money out of that product is another thing, because people need to know it. Communication. You need to create a system of delivering it to the market and raw materials and all sorts of things. Otherwise, you have this alone, nothing much. So that's why it's important to take care of all of these things. Then the next thing is, how do we get started? And the first thing is get a name. Get that name registered. Most times getting names is one of the most tasking steps, because you cannot even register an email address if you don't know and you don't have a name. Yeah, so you must ensure you have a name for your organization and you have it registered, instituted legally. It's a very important step. Nothing else moves. Otherwise, what are you going to brand? What are you going to build? An organization must have a name. So get a name, get it registered, whether it's a company or just a business, sole proprietor. Most times I only recommend those two, except if you want to register an NGO or something. But most times I recommend a limited liability company or just a business. But you are better off doing a limited liability company. It has lots of advantages when it comes to taxes and all sorts of those details. Remember, this is a course that people take tens of hours discussing. We are just doing it in under 1 hour. So those are some of the details. Documentation, this is now where the invoices come in. This is where the business profile comes in. This is where the receipt books comes in. This is where all sorts of things, the documents that you think you will use to make it look official. You even need to choose color for your organization. Yes, all those things are in the documentation. You need to register a domain name. You need to have an email address for your company. I see people using Yahoo or Gmail or Hotmail. Then people wonder, is this a Hotmail organization, or is it a Google organization, or what is it? And the same thing happens with cons. They use the same. So you want to make sure that your organization stands out, and that's why you need to register it properly and accordingly. It should not operate like some kiosk at some dangerous corner. Start small. If there is one thing you will go with, remember to start small and think big. Yeah, somebody starting a hospital may not need to start with the big facility with all the equipment and everything. You may start with a pharmacy and a medical outlet. People just come to buy some drugs, and then you put in a clinical officer there, and then you put in a nurse over time. Then you put in a lab so people can conduct tests. So it starts operating there like that. Then you put beds, some 10 beds, and then you grow like that, and that's the way you expand. Don't think, most people collapse because they want to start it big, because perhaps you are working in a big organization, you think it starts like that. Remember, even when you are working as in a big organization and you are the CEO, you started small and you grew and you learned the ropes. There is a lot of beauty in starting a business small. You learn the ropes, because there is a lot of learning that takes place that you will never ever get in any school. No business school will teach you those things. So you must start small. Be willing to take baby steps, a step at a time, but have a growth plan. That's why we talked about scalability. Have a growth plan. It will move like this. Business will grow to this stage, and then to this stage, like the hospital thing. We know that we are starting with the pharmacy, maybe with just this number of drugs, then we'll scale it to this number of drugs, and then we will have maybe a nurse, and then we have a clinic officer, then we have a lab, then we have a doctor, and then we have 2 doctors, and then we have this. You put that plan and you can make it a number of years to come. For example, and you are plowing that money that comes in there to help it grow. Yeah, you keep it growing like that. You cannot eat all the money, or you expect other monies to keep coming in. Well, other monies can keep coming in. If you are getting money from somewhere, you can still pump it in to keep it growing. But there is some beauty in making that stepwise growth. Don't jump steps. You may just hurt your feet. Yeah. And think big. Most times people, this is where the vision is. Most times people stay small because they do not have growth plan. They don't think big. You must think of that scalability and the steps you're going to take. It's very important. Otherwise, you stay small. And that is now where you can also think of how partnership comes in. Commit to some daily activities, daily commitments, and you just do them. Most people think if you are running your own business, you can just sleep anyhow, go on leave anyhow. When you're starting your business, remember the reason you are picking even something you love is because you will probably work longer hours for many days. There is no weekend, there is no holiday. I love telling people that to me, every day is holiday, meaning a holiday is the same as any weekday. To me, everything is fine. Everything is the same because anyway, I love everything I'm doing. I can do them anytime. I only need to create time for them. So when you are picking your business, it is not time to relax. It's like you're building a big fort, a big house, and every effort counts. Remember, it takes a minimum of 10,000 hours to build a solid organization. 10,000 hours, somebody said, it's a rule, 10,000 hour rule. And that means not less than 5 years if you are only doing 8 hours a day. So commit. Good. A few things I'd like to share about growth strategy. We are almost clocking 8. And this is going to be pretty fast also. I learned something about growth. And growth must be intentional and intended. It doesn't just come. We cause the business to grow like a human being grows naturally, organically. That's fine for living things. While a business organization is a living thing, it cannot grow if it is not deliberate. And so when we are designing our business and we have that triangle, if you remember it, very well taken care of, we must remember these 2 fingers, these first 5 fingers, yeah? This is the thumb. It is the strength of character. You must deal with people with integrity, yeah? Somebody says, deliver the goods. Remember to deliver the goods. And he continues to say, bullshit can only take you so far. So it doesn't work. It doesn't matter what you tell them. By the end of the day, your strength of character. And then focusing on those steps, which is my next step. Don't think of the end. Think of the next step. It works better when you think of the next goal. A class 1 doesn't think of class 8. A class 1 thinks of class 2, and class 2 thinks of class 3, and growing like that. So focus, and then go to branding. Branding, most people think it's the logo, it's the colors, it's the tagline, slogans, all those things. Those are just buzzwords. The logo, when I'm going to buy a computer, for example, I love thinking of Dell, and I don't buy the logo, I buy what the logo promises. So brand is basically what you promise, and it boils down to the strength of character. So all the ulabaloo, the marketing that you do is good. But if all these people come and they don't get what you promised, then your business will not grow. It will collapse. Then build relationship as you grow. Building relationship, remember we said last time, people buy because, anybody who can remember, is there anybody who was with us last time? Here to remind us, why do people buy from us? Yes? Anyone?
Because they trust us.
Because they trust us, that's one. Number two? Thank you very much. Number two, anybody else? I said people buy because they know you, they like you, they trust you. That comes out of relationship. And that trust comes because of our strength of character. So it's not just the branding. The branding is what tells them that this is that person. So we must build strong relationship to grow. And growth simply means we are serving more people. Remember what we had said before. Service to others leads to greatness. And the more people we serve, the bigger we grow. If we help enough people get what they want, we get everything we want. And then lastly is the little things that count. Little things that count. Yeah, Equity, what made them grow? You know, they were a tiny bank. I remember when I was joining the university, we could not even get Equity account because it was not amongst the listed ones for JAB. But Equity came up with an idea that there is no minimum balance. I was operating another bank account which had a minimum balance of 1,000. For a student, a whole 1,000 shillings and more so during those days, sitting in the bank, and then somebody tells you, you can now take it. You can take everything. That was very good. And Equity came with those little things that count. And by the end of the day, the other banks started going down. People started competing them. Today, they are one of the banks in the globe that are recognized in Africa most. Safaricom came up with a little thing of it's per second billing, not per minute. During those days, Kcell stuck to 15 shillings per minute. Whether you do 5 seconds or 10 seconds, it's per minute. But Safaricom came up with it's per second. If you talk, and they were saying, why do you pay for what you don't use? If you talk for 5 seconds, we cut 5 seconds. And people went there. And that is how Kcell lost race and started changing names to today what we have. Yeah, they were cheaper, but they were charging differently. Safaricom to Safaricom was 22 bob. Kcell to Kcell was 15 bob. Kcell to other lines was around 30 something shillings. Safaricom to other lines was 54 thereabout, but per second. So people would call, hello, Nico GPO. Then they cut. So little things. What is your little thing that counts? To us, it's the support that we give. For example, for our hosting will never ever disappoint when it comes to reliability. Your website will always be online and your emails will always work. I've seen people hosting, they have a website, but they are still using Gmail. Pathetic, I feel pain. So little things that count. When we facilitate any team building, people will always come back to us. It is just that ours is just that different. So little things. The other thing, having finished that, is word of mouth. Word of mouth is your biggest advertisement. It's not the billboards. The people you've served, they will tell others about you. And promotion online and all those other things, very good. And more so when you are selling your brand, then when they come, you better deliver the goods, because if you don't, you will lose. I've seen many organizations collapse, by the way. Some years when I loved holding meetings in town, I would go to a restaurant a few times, and then I say, this restaurant won't be there 6 months from now. And sure enough, they would vanish. Yeah. Recently, no, not recent, last year, I went to a particular bank, one of the big banks. I saw the way they were handling things. I said, this bank, people need to be careful. It might be on the way down. Recently, I saw something on the social media that it's probably on its way down. So I've had this opportunity to predict things. It's not what you say out there. Partnerships and networks. We've seen CFC joined hands with Stanbic. They became CFC Stanbic. It was big then. Now it was swallowed. Now it's Stanbic. I've seen NCBA and all these other things. Organizations can merge and grow. Or you can also partner as a small person, a small business. You partner with somebody else who is doing something complementary to yours or similar, and you grow. And building networks. It's said that rich people build networks while others look for works. So a business person, your main duty every day is to know new people, create new connections, and build networks. That is important, because you remember why they buy? Because they know you, they love you, they trust you, they like you, they trust you. And then you must improve your skill. You cannot grow with the same skill that you started with. You keep learning. Yeah, if you stop learning, you stop growing. It's just that simple. And that means even your team must grow. Most people think, when I get money, I will train people. Ideally, it should be, when I train people, I'll get money. That's the way it is. You cannot grow with the same mindset that you started on. The same mindset of yesterday in business won't work. You must keep thinking, you must keep working, you must keep learning. It's the way it is. And even when you are meeting with other people, you meet not to gossip, but to share ideas. By the way, we have some startup programs for people. It's a whole startup package for people who are getting started. We help you refine your idea. We help you register your organization, whether it's a company, and give you the certificate, give you CR12, give you tax, KRA PIN, tax compliance certificate, all that. The documentation, we register for you, domain and host for you. We give you web, everything at your organization.com or .org or .biz or .info, whatever it is. Get you logos and letterhead design, business profile, web content, everything, and support you technically and business wise for 12 months, building everything. So that is something you can ask as a side. People also engage us for leadership training and sales and team building, business consultations, all sorts of things. That's where we are. But in conclusion, you learn more by doing than by sitting and studying. So jump in. As somebody said, start before you are ready. Start before you're ready. Don't wait till all the lights are green. They will never all be green. Some will be red, some will be green. Just get started. Then ask for help. And ask for help not because you're weak, but because you want to stay strong. Les Brown said, ask for help and don't stop until you get it. Don't wait to repeat the same mistakes that others did, because if you're wise, you learn from other people's mistakes. I have books, as I had told you, there are two. This one has more business skills. This one has more leadership skills, but also business and leadership. Leaders, as I said last time, they are leaders. Business people are leaders. So they are very much related. Right now, you can send your questions. You can ask me questions. In the meantime, you can copy, you can screenshot that contact. If you think of another question along the way, you can still call, chat, or email. It's consult@liveyourdream.co.ke, and then those numbers are there: 33 666 924, 35 448 445. Thank you. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions at the moment? Transportation, problems. Okay, okay, yeah. So I'm waiting for comments stroke questions, if any. Does silence means we are satisfied? Okay, comment. Comment. Nani, why is this person who asked some question? Good. I don't think very much session. Thank you very much, Rose. How do you know when to scale up your business? That's a good question. Business will always tell you it's ready. You are earning money, and that money, you should always set up a portion to go back to the business. Ideally, it is 70%, they say, back to business. So you are not going to say back to business just to pay more for what is already there. You are not going to increase the electricity usage or whatever. You plow that back by maybe increasing the supply, increasing the process, upgrading technology, training, and things like that. So when you keep plowing back to business, you set a particular percentage that you keep taking back to business, it will naturally grow. Yeah, if the next stage will require more money, then you are going to save this money for some time. And it's important to keep your financial records very good, well, because you are going to need them if you go to the banks to help you with money to expand your business. By the way, banks don't loan people for startups. When you are going to start, that you go with a business idea, you have it. No. They will give you money because you want to grow a business. They can see the track record. They can evaluate your management skill. So far, I've been able to do it for 2 years. This is how much money has been coming in and how I've been using it. That's what they want. And that's what they call unsecured loan. Otherwise, you go there, they will give you money to start a business because you have a salary that they will deduct. So you can put in money in the account, and over time you can ask for some loan. And it's a wise idea to ask for loan. Of course, you need to evaluate that you will be able to take it, return it back. But loans with banks are much more affordable than the Shylocks and all these other middle guys brokerage. You need to be in good books with the banks. Build good relationship, by the way, with your banker. If you're a business person, the person you want to befriend is your relationship manager in the bank, because they will always mediate for you. Very good question, Patrick. Thank you very much.
Thank you for answering it.
Yes.
Sandy.
Somebody else, I really thank I'm planning to get into agribusiness. Karibu, Roland. I want to believe nobody's question is remaining. Somebody asked, Catherine asked ESQ. ESQ means Esquire. It is what some people like me use instead of using Mr. Mr. is at the beginning, Mr. Otieno Paul Peter. Instead, I like using Otieno Paul Peter ESQ. Yes, it's just my wish. You can use the other one, but personally, when I'm writing my name, I use ESQ. Thank you for that. Your third on that, agribusiness is good, but you must go through the same system that I've talked about. Consider your strength. For example, I cannot practice agriculture per se, because I'm never passionate about agriculture. I don't even like, when I was in secondary school, 2 things I didn't like was biology and agriculture, because they all entailed going to the bushes and looking for weeds, and sometimes it's raining and all that. Then the other thing I didn't like was gambling with rain, because I can't be in charge of rain, you see. But if you are in charge of all, in business, we want control. But if you can't get this control, that is where the problem starts. So you must ensure that you are in full control. You're in control of the water if you are going to require water for irrigation. You're in control of security for your plants. A friend of mine did ngano in Narok, lots of acres. And then shortly before it could be harvested, somebody set fire on it, maliciously or otherwise, I don't know. But they had put loan into that thing. Yeah. So all sorts of things happen. So personally, I don't have that strength. But if it is your strength to operate within the agribusiness industry, well and good. Again, don't let anybody push you to any industry. You are the one who knows yourself. Just because your uncle or your cousin or somebody else is doing well in it does not mean you're going to do well in it. You better consult your heart. But if your heart tells you you can do it and you've seen with tangible evidence you can do it, please go ahead and do it. It doesn't matter who else tells you you cannot do it, because your heart hardly will disappoint you. And remember, because it will take long before you make money, your heart will keep you satisfied because you are engaging in a labor of love. Thank you very much. I hope that one answers you, Roland. Is there any other? I don't want to cut anybody. I don't think there is. And for that matter, I want to say thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for keeping me company this particular time and sharing your time with me. And I hope we will